To say that Pokemon has been a touchy subject as of recently would be an understatement, with Bring Back the National Dex as well as people who are defending Game Freak's decision being called Game Freak apologists, as well as videos attacking Game Freak as well as the fans. It's been a very negative space as of late, so why don't we do something to help balance it out a little bit, even if it's only a little bit. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about my Pokemon teams from the first 7 generations based on the saves that I still have. Now, unfortunately, I don't have my saves from Generation 1 and 2 anymore, not because the batteries are dead, though it may be, I'll explain why in a second, but because I can't play Gen 1 or 2 on my original hardware. See, the only way I could do that was through my Game Boy Advance, and one of the battery prongs is corroded, so I can't even power it on. To get a replacement, an SP, or a Game Boy player would cost a lot of money, and it would take a lot of time, about 2 or more weeks, and I don't even know if the batteries in those games are still working anymore. After all, those do have a life expectancy. So I'd be spending a bunch of money for games that may not even work anymore. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go off of memory for the first 2 generations, and Gen 6, but I'll explain why there shortly. But everything else, I do still have the saves for, so those were a lot easier. So, with all that said, let's begin with Gen 1. Generation 1, my team for that was, at least going off memory, Venusaur, Pidgeot, Vaporeon, Nidoking, Persian, and Moltres. Yes, I know based on the top 49, Articuno is my favorite legendary, but to be fair, I was a dumb kid back then, and, well, I thought Moltres was a cool one because, hey, it's a fire type, Nido, even though I'm not really a fan of Moltres nowadays, but whatever. I still like Persian nowadays, so that holds true. Vaporeon's not my favorite overall evolution, but it's a nice one. Of course, Pidgeot was great to have back in the day. Venusaur was kind of a surprise, but I guess it's kind of funny because grass is usually the one I don't pick the most, but it is what it is. Nidoking was probably the biggest surprise, largely because I'm more of a Nidoqueen person for the most part. But yeah, that's basically it for my Gen 1 experience, at least going off memory. Gen 2, Feraligatr. I know Feraligatr was my first starter. I would eventually play as Cyndaquil in the remakes, but that's irrelevant. Furret. Furret was a good boy. I loved my Furret. Pidgeot, because I love my Pidgeots. Nidoqueen, because of course, I mean, I love Nidoqueen nowadays, and it makes sense that I'd have one back in the day, going off of hindsight. Ampharos, because Ampharos was a good electric type to have back in the day, even if I didn't realize it because I was a dumb kid. And Ladian. Yeah, an odd choice, but to be fair, I was a dumb kid back in the day, so I didn't really care about stats and shit. Also, Generation 2 was my first games for Pokemon, so yeah, it's kind of nostalgic. Now we move on to Generation 3. Generation 3's team was Swampert, Geodude, Blaziken, Groudon, Castform, and Wingull. Yeah, to quickly clarify, I originally had a Torchic on a playthrough of Ruby back in the day, but I couldn't beat the Elite Four with it, as well as other Pokemon I had at the time, and I unfortunately deleted that save. So I just simply put Blaziken on another cartridge, traded it over to Ruby, and I started with that, as well as my Mudkip, who would eventually become Swampert. As for Geodude, Castform, and Wingull, I honestly think they were either HM slaves, or was because I thought they were okay. Now, I should have evolved Geodude into Graveler at least, but it is what it is. And Groudon because, again, I was a dumb little kid. I thought having a legendary on my team was a good idea. Gen 4. Empoleon, which technically makes this the 3rd water starter in a row. Luxray, because I loved this little guy and still do nowadays. Staraptor, because, well, I friggin' love my birds. Lopunny, because I thought it was a good normal type. Beebarrel, because it was a good HM slave. And Palkia, because again, I was a stupid kid and thought having legendaries on my team was a good idea. Gen 5. We have Superior, which technically makes this the 2nd grass starter. Stoutland, because I also was a sucker for dog Pokemon, at least as of this point. Unpheasant, because as I've said before, I really love my bird Pokemon. Sock, because I liked its design, it was a good fighting type and all that jazz. Joltik, because I was too dumb to evolve into Galvantula. I have no idea why I had this. And Shiny Axew, because, hey, it was a cute thing I caught, and I figured, oh, okay, I'll just have it on my team. Generation 6 was a bit of a tricky one to remember, because, well, I got Generation 6 digitally, and when I transferred from my old DS to my new 3DS, the save data did not transfer to the new 3DS. So whatever I had on that old X and Y cartridge, or sorry, X, the save data was gone. So I had to effectively start a new playthrough on that. So I decided to go off of my basic memory of Generation 6 and play it by ear. So yeah, there's another reason why I'm not a fan of digital distribution. Save files get fucked up, especially on 3DS. Anyways, my starter for Gen 6 was Greninja. I love my Ninja Frog, I still do, he's a good boy. Blaziken, because back in the day there was an event for Generation 6 where if you got a Blaziken early, it gets speed boost and all this crap, so I was like, oh okay, I'll get it. Aurorus, because I thought it was a cute Pokemon. Vivillon, I don't know why I got this, but whatever. Talonflame, because again, I love my birds. And Go-Go, because I thought Go-Go was an interesting Pokemon, and it was actually pretty useful during my playthrough of Generation 6. And finally, we have Generation 7. My team for this was Decidueye, because originally I was going to get Litten, but I saw Decidueye, I saw it as a Ghost Archer, and I'm like, fuck yes, give me this thing, I love this idea. And sure enough, this is the one I'd also use in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Vikavolt, because I friggin' love this guy, he is good. Komao, because I love this dragon, I'm going to put it at number 1 on my Alola list for a reason. Hariyama, because this was a good fighting type, and I don't think I got a Lucario back then, so whoops. Lycanroc, because I friggin' love wolves, and we got a fucking dog, and then evolves into a wolf rock thing. I fucking love it. And Crobat, largely because I thought I needed a flying type, so I might as well just get Crobat. And Crobat was pretty good. So yeah, those are all my old Pokemon teams from back in the day, and I'm sure with Generation 8, I'm gonna have some good teammates for that too. So yeah, after all the stuff that's gone on as of late, hopefully this video will spread a little bit of positivity, even if you're upset about the whole National Dex situation, or the current infighting between the community. So that's all I have to say. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters, Susan the Kari Fan and Emerald Star Production, and have a great day, everyone.